Mm, Good morning. Uh, my name is Madam Letitia from St. Augustine University, Tanzania. As I've introduced myself in my first video, but I say that I'll be dealing with the work of art such as novel, plays, and poetry. But today I would like to discuss literature in general, starting with the definition, come to the elements of literature, go to the function of literature, then I'll start with my analysis about novels, plays, together with poetry. In a definition, when we say literature it is a work of art that uses language imaginative creatively to portray what's happening among the members of the society, like corruption, betrayal, and love affairs. When we speak about literature, there are some of the components which are very important in the definition of literature. One of them is the work of art. When you are defining literature, as a student of literature, the definition of literature must consist of the work of art. You cannot define literature without saying it's a work of art. So literature is a work of art. Literature doesn't stand itself, but it deals with the language. So we can say that language is another component which is not supposed to be missing in the definition of literature. So we have a work of art together with the language. We can call it imaginative, also creative must not be missing. Also human experience is one of the components. So we have almost 5 components which are not supposed to be missing in the definition of literature. First is a work of art, second is a language, third is creative, fourth is a imaginative, and the last one is a human experience. That's why you cannot only using my definition, you can also create yours, but with these 5 components. As I've spoken before, that literature is a work of art that uses language, imaginative, creative to portray what are happening among the members of the society, like corruption, betrayal, and love affairs. When you when you are listening carefully, you discover that those 5 components in the definition of literature are also there in my definition. So you can also create yours by using these 5 components. These are the short and very simple definition of literature. Literature has got 2 elements, which are form and content. So all this we call it element of literature. They are depending on one another. You cannot just explain about the form and have to behind the content because they are inseparable elements. You cannot separate form from content, and you cannot separate content from form. Not only that, but also when it comes to literature, you cannot separate literature from language because there are 2 dependent dependence, you can call it words. When we talk about literature, there must be a language because literature will use languages. And when you speak about the language, there are some of the literature components that are following the language part. So you cannot differentiate or you cannot separate these 2. Literature and language, also form and content. Form in a form, we can say it is outside. It's just outside of the core of the work of art. Just how does the work look like? How it is the title? How it is a style used by the author? How it is we can call it setting. Where does the work of art setted? Uh, those are some of the elements which can be found in the form. When we come back to the content, we can have some elements such as themes, messages, philosophies, conflict. All these are happening in the elements of content. So So there are short summaries about the definition of literature, what literature comprise, which types of literature. We have two types of literature. It is written literature and spoken literature. When it comes to spoken literature, or we can call it in other name oral literature, and we have written literature. When it comes to oral literature is a type of literature which is presented through spoken form or oral form. So there are some of the stories which have been practiced by our fathers or grandfathers, grandmothers, and others. They are using their mouths just to explain to you about a short story happening in past years ago. When it comes to literature, we have the novels, plays, and poems. These are the literature which have been arranged. It is a type of literature which is presented in written form. So their work is in written. When you come to novel, it is written. When you come to plays, it is written, and some are acted on a stage. When you come to poem, it is also written. So we have two types, written and oral literature. Those are the types of literature, but literature has got two elements I've said before, form and content, and I explain it very well. Those are just some simple and just important things in the literature. Now we come to function of literature. Literature has got a lot of function because we cannot have a subject or we cannot have a particular thing without a function. When we come to literature, it is like other subjects, it is function. The first function is to educate people. Literature develops the mind of the people by giving them knowledge of the existing social realities. So this makes people aware and think creative, have the capacity of reasoning about a particular things happening in the society. So it educates. When you are just reading the particular novel, for example, we may take an example of the novel Pass Like a Shadow. When you read that novel, you'll get education, a very big education. You'll be educated because of what's happening in that novel. People are dying, all the people, characters died due to HIV, and some of the method which a person can get HIV through have been pointed out. So when you read that book, you also get education about how to prevent yourself from HIV/AIDS. Not all that, but also everything which is written in literature does not come from a vacuum, but it comes from a society. So even in that novel, Past Like a Shadow, all those things written by the author Bernard Mapalala comes from society, and it is aim of writing this novel is just to touch the Ugandan together with the Tanzanian society about the spread of HIV/AIDS. So you can get education through that novel and other novel. Even so, this society also be educated due to the work of art. When it comes to the first point or first function of literature. When you come to the second function of literature, it entertains people in the society. When you talk about their entertainment, we can call it something which we can enjoy. When you read and love, when you love, you like and read different work of art, you can get enjoyment. There are some of the novels, some of the plays, some of the poem, which when you read it, you can enjoy. Not only that, but also through watching, listening to music, watching different comedies, you can also get entertainment. When you think about the different comedians, you can also get entertainment. Those are the we call it aesthetic stimulate the sense of appreciation of written works. For example, people can go to entertainment through watching comedy and listening to different musics. All these are work of art, so you can also get entertainment. So that's why as I've said before, I like literature, I love literature, and I want you also to love and like literature. Uh, when we come to the third point, it is literature influence people in the society. Influence is just like when you are watching the literary work, you can say, "Oh my God, may I be like this? May I be like that character?" It is like a work just to stimulate your sense of feelings, your sense of emotions. So through reading this and watching different work of art, people may be influenced to act the same way. That's why we have the actors in our schools, we have the actors in our university. When you speak of the actors, we have some graduation days. We just find there are some of the people, I want to act, I want to be like someone. Oh, those are the influence from the work of art. Not only that, when you are reading the work of art, you can also be influenced to write. You can also be influenced to write your own novel, to write your own plays, to write your own poem. So this also is just influence. In addition to that, I myself, as a teacher, I was influenced to write my own novel in Kiswahili language. It is called Kikangoni, together with a book of which comprise of different poems from myself. It is called Tamu ya Penzi, together with a novel so called New Hope. So due to this, I was somehow influenced with the work of art. One day, there are some of the people who want to find people who have their different, we call it, different things apart from studying. So when they reached out to our school, I was one of the person who writes my name so as to compete. So when we were in the competition, we were almost 85. The competition went on and I gave out my novels, I gave out my poem. The time of the result came, I was given the award, this one. Here it is written Magore Social Service Support Organization. This is an organization in Magole. This place is in Morogoro, and I'm from Dakar High School. In other sides of this medal, it is written Student Extraordinary Award. I was given this award due to the writing of the novels, writing of the plays, writing of the poems. So I'm Student Extraordinary Award. It is not my effort or it is not my plan, but I was influenced through the work of art, through reading, through watching, and I'm still writing different work of art. Those are some of the function. The other function is to liberate. When we talk about the liberation, it's whereby there are different problems which are people face in the society, so they are also presented in a work of art. When you read that, you can also be aware of the way of solving your problems, the way of solving what is in front of you, what you're facing. So this will help you as a student of literature or other people from the society read that work of art and come to get the awareness about existence of a good and bad things happening in our societies. For example, process of exploitation, process of female genital mutilation, process of corruption, process of bad leadership. All this you would get in the work of art, such as novel, plays, together with the poetry. As I've said, the the definition of literature, together with what we call it, a short explanation about literature. I say that language and literature are two inseparable things which you cannot separate in any way you want to be. The fifth point of function of literature is literature is to develop language. Literature is to develop language because language is medium of communication, and due to this, literature and language are two inseparable things, because without language there is no literature, and without literature there is no language. So these two are depending from each other. So the language used in literature is not just like a language used in geography, a language used in history, a language used in civics, a language used in basic methods, a language used in we can call it in science, we can call it language used in biology, but the language used in literature is just a creative and imaginative language which can help you think critically, which can help you that see the difference between the language used in other subjects and the language used in literature. So the language used in literature and language used in other subjects is the difference because of some of the elements such as creativity together with their imaginative. Because the work of art use language creative. When you work of art, some of the subject use language just like a language, we cannot call it literature. So this is come to the point when you say that everything written is literature. No, that's not true. Because when you say that everything written is literature, even geography will be literature, history will be literature, but not that way. Because literature uses language creative and imaginative. So the language used in literature is creative language. Um, Those are some of the functions of literature, as I've said before. The first is to educate, the second is to entertain, the third is to influence, the fourth is to liberate, and the fifth is to develop language. As I've said, so through writing different work of art, you can develop language because of increasing of grammar, increasing of vocabularies, all this develop language. Thank you for listening. Just follow my account for more information about literature, for more analysis of the work of art. I like literature. I love literature. I'm Madam Letitia, St. Augustine University of Tanzania.